I have an incident where I helped a woman and the husband came and told me, if you want to know the real me,
I've been sent to kill you, but I'm beating you because you're a promoter of homosexuality in the Bugisu region.
Our team was surrounded, others were arrested and taken to...
In Uganda, voices demanding justice are often met with violence, censorship, and fear. Human rights defenders, HRDs, face threats, harassment, intimidation, arrests, and even exile. According to Article 1 of the 1998 UN Declaration on Human Rights Defenders, HRDs are individuals or groups who act to promote, protect, or strive for the protection and realization of human rights and fundamental freedoms through peaceful means. The UN defines HRDs by what they do and the nature of their activities, rather than by what they are. More so, there is no qualification required for one to be a human rights defender, rather the 3 minimum standards required for one to be defined as an HRD. According to the UN, the 3 minimum standards to be an HRD are: the person accepts the universality of human rights, the person's arguments fall within the scope of human rights, and the person engages in peaceful action. HRDs derive their mandate through Article 38 of the 1995 Constitution that talks about civil rights and activities. Every Uganda citizen has the right to participate in the affairs of the government individually or through his or her representatives in accordance with law. Every Ugandan has a right to participate in peaceful activities to influence the policies of government through civic organizations. The United Nations Human Rights Framework serves as a global standard, affirming that all people are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Through declarations and treaties, it calls on every nation, including Uganda, to respect, protect, and fulfill these fundamental freedoms. In the heart of the struggle, brave human rights defenders emerge: journalists, lawyers, youth leaders, environment, women, PWD, key population, ethnic minorities defenders, standing as the first line of defense for justice.
My role as a youth, also a human rights defender, I have really taken it on myself to look at, why the corporate impunity still exists in our environment. At times we have seen communities forced to accept development when they are particularly not part of it. A case in point is the oil developments in Western Uganda, Albertine region. We have seen land rights violation. People haven't been compensated to the full capacity, but also those who have been compensated were unfairly compensated.
Majority of our people here are illiterate. They are not well versed with the legal framework in Uganda.
We have domestic violence. We have child trafficking and child abuse, where children are neglected. They are not getting treatment, they are not in schools. That's why our children of Karamaja are full on the streets, because they are not being catered for in their families, they are neglected. And then we have also issues of land environment, land grabbing. That is now most common in Karamaja.
After the eviction of Batwa in the early 1990s, they appeared vulnerable, landless, they had nowhere to settle. These Batwa live on the peripheries of the forest, especially Echuya and Gindi Mugahinga. They were formerly occupants of the forest. Actually, they call the forest their ancestral land. They formerly stayed in the forest, and their livelihoods is dependent on the forest. And you are also aware that when they were evicted by the government of Uganda, they were never compensated up to date. And that vulnerability has stayed up to date. Now, these are protected areas, either by UA or NFA. We have had cases of them being killed within the forest by soldiers of Uganda Wildlife Authority or soldiers of NFA. Those cases have been coming up, but whenever they come up and the cases are reported, they are never investigated to the logical conclusion.
I was raised up in a polygamous family, and my father had 2 wives. So because of the domestic violence, one of his wives, my stepmother, died at his hands. That's why my father is in prison today. It's been 13 years now, and ever since it happened, it affected our lives negatively, but it also, in a positive way, impacted me to speak truth to power.
In my community, there is evictions. Then when it comes to sex workers, they call it common nuisance. They just come and arrest them. And on top of that, they face physical violations, whereby you find my communities are beaten.
When I grew up personally, I survived 3 attempts of kidnap. People thinking that when they will get my head or any other part of my body, they will get rich faster. And this is what many of our colleagues are facing. Go to the districts of Namayingo, where now the gold mining is taking place. There is one entire sub-country where persons with albinism have been transferred. Fear for their life because they are looking for their body parts, with the myth that if you get their body parts, you will get much gold. There are very many myths which has exposed persons with albinism to diseases such as HIV, more so to our sisters. The myth think that if you have unprotected sex with a person with albinism, you will get cured HIV. This is putting their life at risk.
If I can ask the question of why is this going the way it is? Why is this not going the way it's supposed to be going? These funds should have come to help this community for this reason. Has it actually come? What is the community saying? Have they received it? Have they not received it? So you get to realize that journalism work has a very thin line between human rights defending work. And once you know that the right of the community is this, your right is to inform them, you are already promoting human rights. If the community did not receive what is by merit theirs, and you get to ask why they have not received it, you're already defending. And so for me, it almost comes as natural that as a journalist, I am a human rights defender.
To protect these brave voices, the National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders Uganda was established in 2013. Since then, it has become a unifying force, bringing together defenders from across the country to collaborate, support one another, and strengthen collective protection. The mission of the National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders Uganda is clear: to protect and promote the work of human rights defenders in a safe and secure environment through linkages with national, regional, and international like-minded entities.
Human rights, these are rights.
We use a lot of different systems. One, the play-based approach, because we believe children learn better when it's in terms of plays. We have also formed what we call the human rights clubs in some of the schools. So some of the human rights clubs, they do poems, they do dramas about issues, human rights issues. So this is as a tool. And then also sports events, as young people, for us, sports is a very important gathering tool for us to pass a message. We organize a small tournaments around here. We bring issues to come and sensitize people on the issue of the human rights issues. We bring experts. We also bring some of the survivors who have successfully overcome this to share some of their experiences, their stories with us.
So I am glad to say that I have structures at the grassroots that I use. And I call them human rights defenders, grassroots, community-based. And in every sub-county in Acholi sub-region, I have 2. That means I have 80 plus human rights defenders whom I have mentored through trainings, physical mentorship, one-on-one, follow-ups. And some, majority have reached them physically. And those who are far sometimes reach me out now on phone when they get technical problems and they need some guidance. So I give them that technical advice and guidance on phone. But when I get the opportunity, I visit them at the grassroots.
We do sensitizations, we do edutainment. This is music. We compose the music in the way we call it edutainment. it carries some important information, but at the same time, it's entertain the listeners. So it's one of the skills. Apart from that, we do sensitization on the radios. We go even to the regional level, like African Union. We go to international level, like the United Nations, to give our issues, more so in advocacy issues that we need to be maybe addressed by those different bodies.
We do a lot of writing, actually. For us, in most cases, we write. Personally, I have also written, for instance, I do opinion articles that have been published severally in the Daily Monitor, New Vision, and other platforms, including the online platforms. I do write, and some of the things we write, they are not my personal views, they are the concerns of the communities.
We use online advocacy, online campaigns. We have online campaigns in WhatsApp platforms and other social media accounts where we share issues to do with pertinent human rights issues that need to make people aware of their rights. We also do community outreach. Like right now, we are doing training monitors for the coming election. We also do a bit of chatting one-on-one with the members of the community, especially those who feel their right has been abused.
If you look at Article 39 of the Constitution, it gives us the right to clean and healthy environment. But also, if you look at the same Constitution as a tool, if you look at it, gives government the responsibility to be the trustees of the natural resources that we enjoy. So the Constitution and the law, those are the main tools that we use, amongst other things that we do.
So the COBA toolbox is one of the tools I use, especially when I am reporting or when I am documenting incidences and violations. I use film. Film is my #1 tool when I am talking about certain things, like the way I have said mental health, things that people don't usually want to talk about. In my previous works that I have done as a filmmaker, I have spoken about domestic violence, I have spoken about mental health. So film has been my #1 tool. The other tool I use as a human rights defender is social media. Social media has helped me in my advocacy work, in my creating self-awareness about human rights issues, abuses, and violations.
We have relied on research to promote evidence because we find that these companies try to dodge and keep inviting us for conferences, telling us and giving us the figure. We have done, they keep telling us that we have compensated the project affected person 90%, but we do research and find out that this is not true. They just present figures, but on ground, it's a different story. The National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders had rolled out a tool called the online referral mechanism that we can go there and lodge in our complaint. So that comes at a time when the civic space is really shrinking, and it comes in to really protect us. It's a safe haven for us, that you can be seated in Tungamo district and lodge in your complaint, and someone, the coalition based in Kampala, is able to receive this complaint.
Human rights defenders continue to face many challenges, including criminalization, stigma, burnout, and systemic exclusion. Resources are limited, risks are high, and some still work in hiding.
The work that we do puts you in a position where you listen to problems only. There's no single day where you see good news.
In 2024, we did research on land compensation for project-affected persons. Now, this research almost brought us issues. When we documented that research and uploaded it on our website, we started getting, threats over WhatsApp messages. When I insisted not, removing it from the website, what I see the next day, it's no longer available. Even accessing it, accessing my website, it became an issue. So I had to really open another website. Someone comes up in your inbox and starts threatening to take your lives. I remember I had to take a 2 weeks refugee in Kigali because it was at that height that I really started feeling it, that this is real advocacy.
Definitely when something just happens, like if you're cautioned, you know, there's that mental trigger that is unavoidable. You're bound to think, especially when the police called me and said, someone is looking for your number. Someone is looking for you. Somehow it troubled me. Yeah, but along the way, I evaluated myself and saw I was not doing anything wrong, but only that I needed to go slow, re-strategize, but achieve my aim.
One time, when we handled the issue of the land, my social media, my Facebook got, and my ex got blocked, and just for no reason, until it took me long to recover them. When the people who are above age of the youths contested and they were taking the positions, when we followed that issue, we got arrested and we slept in the cell for 2 days before we got rescued.
You live that isolation life. And then there's that fear when you're even moving. And of course now even like going forward, doing this human rights defenders work, you find the only issue is turned down. As if you're the land grabber. Don't accept that one. She's coming to tell you to sell your land and so forth. Yet you're there to try to support. But more on my mental health, there's stress sometimes. Of course, depression. You say, have I done something bad or what? Because you are trying. But when you see what you have done, it makes that mental health of yours, somehow you get relieved. But of course, that time I even developed pressure.
Sometimes it is hard for communities to separate between a human rights defender and a government person. So they think that whoever comes to speak with them or for them is a government person. Or sometimes they also perceive us to be government people. You know, so the challenge is a lot, but also in terms of resources, I don't have the resources to move that far. Okay, even when I would want to go and really talk to people, listen to them, and we see how we can champion or advance certain rights issues in their communities. You don't have the resources. Another thing is that as an organization still, we are restricted in terms of the working, our area of scope, okay? We are a community-based organization. By law, you're restricted to only one sub-county, okay? And the issues are not only within one sub-counties, they are everywhere, okay? Where I would have gone as a person, because as a human rights defender, I don't think there is a law that stops me to go and defend rights in Nwoya or defend rights in wherever they are. But I may not have that capacity to go there. As an organization, you will be restricted by the area of coverage.
But the most scary part that I experienced is when we're in Bugoma Forest. We have gone for fact-finding. And this fact-finding, while we're in the forest, there's no network, there's nothing that you can do to communicate. We're ambushed by a group of soldiers, and our team was surrounded. Others were arrested and taken to police cells. But by the God's mercy, nature saved us because it rained so heavily, and the car that was brought to take us got stuck in mud. And the people who were being arrested had to push the car until one of the person, a female soldier, asked me, "Are you Hussein Katomwinda?" I said, "Yes." I was like, "We're sent here to arrest you, but we realized that actually you're not doing anything bad. I'm giving you 30 minutes to leave the forest." And to me, it was also very scary because we're in a forest. You couldn't call anyone. Anything can happen.
They beat me up, and the person who beat me up was like, "I've been sent to kill you, but I'm beating you because you're a promoter of homosexuality in the Bugisu region."
We are in an environment which in a patriarchal society. And now you're bringing in the concept where you're touching the most sensitive part. In Kigezi sub-region, we have limited land because of the very many hills. We don't have enough land, yet we are very many. So land is a limited resource here in Kigesa region. And now you're telling women it is your right to own it, to inherit it. So we have had, I personally have had instances where community leaders are telling me, go slow. You're touching a sensitive topic. Be careful of what you're saying. I have an incident where I helped a woman, gave them where to stay like for a few days. And the husband came and told me, if you want to know the real me, and was pointing at me, if you want to know the real me, interfere with my personal, with my family issues.
But because I'm committed and determined, and always I say that I do all this because I don't want the future generation to go what we went through, or what we've been facing, or what we are facing right now. And with that needs a lot of sacrifice. So sometimes we find even I have to sacrifice my social life just to see that we continue to advocate or defend the rights of those who are less privileged.
We've been profiled, even when it comes to, by the way, renewing our permit, because for us as community-based organization, we renew our permits on a yearly basis. Sometimes because you've been vocal, because they have seen you advancing certain issues, they deny you, or they challenge you here and there, and at the end of the day, it derails the kind of the work that we do.
Despite the risks, threats, and limited resources, human rights defenders in Uganda have registered powerful wins. From securing justice for survivors, to stopping illegal evictions, to influencing national policy. Their impact is real, and their courage has changed lives.
I take pride in seeing women being able to start their own businesses, the women being able to become economically independent.
Like I did an advocacy in Puron over the animal-human conflict, because Puron is a sub-county that borders the park, and issues of wild animals coming to the community and destroying community crops, killing people in the community like elephants. They're so destructive. And the community was tired. Tired to the extent that we got information from reliable sources that they were willing to attack any wildlife or UA vehicle they spot in Moya. Immediately, we intervened as an organization. I made a concept which was approved by my ED at that time, and we rushed there. We called the officials of UA, called law enforcement, because they are inevitable in the dialogue and advocacy. We called the community, which was so bitter now. And they came. You could see even from their reaction. But in the end, UA officials had to respond to the grievances of the community. UA involved government, Valua, to go and assess the damage so that they could quantify and see how much was commensurate in terms of payment. So each affected community member had to be registered, and the procedure was availed to them on that day of the dialogue. Police was there to support them because the forms were supposed to be picked from police. Pick the form, fill in, take it back, verification is done, then afterwards, compensation. And they are receiving compensation.
Women can talk in meetings now. There is no way that a woman can be denied when putting her up in the meeting. They are able to talk and their issues are being heard. Then there are decisions in families. They can decide if they say, let's sell a goat. It is together they do it in the family.
Skin cancer is one of the #1 killer for persons with albinism. If you do a random search, you'll find that 98% of persons with albinism die skin cancer before celebrating their 30 years of age. But now, since they waived off the tax on the sunscreen lotions, this has reduced, and we are able to provide sunscreen lotion to all districts of Uganda through even our sister organization. Now we see the increase of students with albinism in schools and universities and different institutions. As I speak now, we have different professions. We have now many doctors, we have lawyers, we have engineers, we have business people who did business studies. So we are proud that, yes, As I speak now, we are seeing now government has started to pick the interest. In fact, I love the way the National Coalition of Human Rights Defender brought it and the training that they gave us. Now we are trying to sit in dialogue with the government, and now we are presenting our issues. I'm glad that they started picking interest to address them.
So ASM did what we call integration. We started groups, we formed groups, and those groups included Batwa and non-Batwa. Saving money, loaning, accessing soft loans, and gradually Batwa have successfully integrated with non-Batwa, especially the Bachiga and the Bafumbira, the dominant tribes within that community. Initially, for them, they would attack, without reporting, because they knew there is no justice. Even if they report, nothing happens. So they would do kind of injustice, or they would attack head-on collision. But now, I feel happy when I talk to them, or when they are talking, and we realize that their mindset has greatly improved. They know where to report, how to report, what to report, and whom to report to.
Way back before we got into this space, every time you talk about climate change, people would respond by planting trees. Because that was the main thing that people knew, that if you talk about climate change, they ask you how many trees have you planted. But for us coming up with an innovation and saying, listen, we can use the law to protect and conserve the environment and engaging government on policy and legal issues to influence legal changes, that has also been very, very key. And I can tell you, we have not conclusively said we've won a particular case stopping an individual, but I can tell you that filing that case and having advocates around that case, explaining that problem alone is a win.
The National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders Uganda has supported human rights defenders through its 3 core programs, namely capacity building, advocacy and networking, and protection and emergency support.
I was referred to Defender for a training in safety and security management, and that's when they talked about the importance of belonging to a coalition.
When I was invited by Defenders for a meeting with the UN rapporteur at Munyonyo, that was when I again bumped into Fran from National Coalition, and we started engaging from that time, exchanging contacts, and I talked to my ED, said we should join membership with the National Coalition, because I know the immense benefits that we can gain from the National Coalition, from capacity building, because we have also HRDs on the ground that we can as well recommend, instead of us who have been capacitated, that we can recommend to also benefit from the National Coalition. If we get any challenges, we can always have their backup because we are members to them. And she was satisfied, she was convinced.
I remember I attended a training on human rights, basically human rights, understanding of the concept of human rights. And I was amazed at how much I didn't know, even though when I thought I knew. So it was kind of like an opening experience for me into the world that I was stepping in.
Really, there is a gap that the coalition really covered in our advocacy space. For example, I can testify the fact that we received training on monitoring, documentation, and reporting. It really impacted the way I do my work. Prior, I could monitor and document, and I stopped there. But with that training, I really understood that beyond that, there is a lot of work to do, that you can publish these reports, do advocacy on them.
The coalition has also given us a platform where you participate in their work. For example, this award that you're talking about, after joining and doing our work, the very members within the coalition nominated and voted us as the most outstanding human rights defender in Central Region.
I was recognized in 2024, that is last year, by National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders as one of the impactful grassroots defender from the Western region. And that recognition, it came in handy. One, I was exposed okay, to so many other organizations, but also to so many people. And I believe even up to now, it was a motivation not only to me, but also to others that, oh, in this work, there are also other people that are seeing you. There are people that are recognizing you. So that recognition was something very good for my journey in defending the rights of others.
My engagements with the coalition has deepened my understanding about, first of all, the human rights issues, and it has even empowered me in the sense of now you get to understand in broader sense the different dynamics and the dimensions of the human rights issues, and those that you can actually take up as a human rights defender. But beyond that, you know that there are so many, the coalition brings together different players from different sectors, maybe population segmentations. So with all that, you find that on my part as a journalist, it becomes easier to even cover the other issues that I wouldn't be able to cover if I only had to deal with myself as a journalist and the community whose rights we have to defend.
So we feel like the coalition has given us three main things. One, the capacity building. Two, recommendations. That recommendation is a very important key when you're renewing your certificate, because the person giving you the recommendation must be a fully registered member with the Bureau. And most of the coalitions that we have around are either loose networks or they are not fully registered. So for us, that was a very key issue that we witnessed and we feel. And then, of course, the trainings and the platforms that they give us.
These achievements are possible thanks to dedicated partners locally and globally who believe in the power of human rights and protection.
I'm so glad that most of the issues that were represented in UPR, all other member states recommended our country to work on them. And I'm glad that some of those issues right now, our country is working on them. So I'm proud about that as well.
When I see the disabled children going to school, being enrolled in schools, being accepted in schools, and when I see these children playing with the rest, child participation in games, in everywhere, even within the communities, it makes me happy. Like before, our people were cutting down trees, but now we are using, through the brigades making that I'm training the women in the rural areas. You find that there's reduced cutting of the trees. That is what makes me happy as a human rights defender.
I have passion for what I do. And as I told you, I love to see a smile, put a smile on another person's face. So it keeps me, it pushes me that when I start to support you, as I come in to handle your issue, I have to ensure that at the end you smile. So I will never sit back until I see that smile on your face. And I want to extend that to every other person that I can reach. So it's passion.
All of us have a responsibility, and the responsibility I talk about is, if we are all human beings, we know that we are talking about human rights. So if I am doing any work as a journalist to defend human rights, I think everybody needs to appreciate that it is for the good of all of us. So in a nutshell, the work of a journalist as a HRD is for the benefit of everyone.
The message I have for my fellow HRDs, fellow human rights defenders, wherever you're defending rights from, is that always be reminded that we are doing a noble kind of job. And my appeal would be that as we do this work, let us follow the law. We should not be found on the wrong side of the law, and be reminded that you cannot do this work alone, but we can collectively do this work together, and we shall achieve the goal that we want, where we have a community that stands on their rights and they demand what is due for them. Thank you.
We want to thank the Executive Director, want to thank the board of the National Coalition and also its members that thank you very much for giving Earth and Rights Initiative a platform to shine, a platform for visibility and also the capacity that to receive don't stop temuko mangoko mwongerengako nnyo.
And to the government, please, human rights defenders are not against you, but they are helping you to make that all the citizens' rights are defended.
If government could partner with HRDs at institutional or CSO level or in individual HRDs, it could even ease some of the service delivery to the community.
To the international community, we need to see how we can start following these companies to make sure that they respect rights at the community, but also in the case of any violation, they are able to, give remedy in such circumstances.
You can be part of this movement. Support, share, speak up, because when defenders are silenced, injustice wins. This documentary is brought to you by National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders Uganda with support from the Royal Danish Embassy in Uganda through Defend Defenders.